It's been a very enlightening session so far. Uh, the legal ecosystem is something that we are all enthralled and enamored by, but few of us mortals, unlike you guys, really comprehend the scope as well as the longevity of its residue in our democratic as well as our social and our political system as well. You guys represent, a vocation and an area which is so entrenched in our daily life that whenever society changes, the legal ecosystem has to tag along and tow along. So, Karan, I'm going to start with you. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just going to try and, enter a space where you and, the rest of the panelists can take us through what law is all about today. We're living in a world which is enveloped by technology today. And it presents challenges, it represents a changing landscape, and you as lawyers obviously have to embrace it if you want to be in the race, right? So first up, Karan, apprise our audience and tell us, what does your work entail and how much of technology are you able to employ at this particular time in the kind of work that you do? That will also give us an insight as to, what really goes on in a lawyer's life, who's grappling with a number of, changes, not only in terms of technology, but law as well. It's a huge glossary of information to keep up with. And if you have, technology thrown into it as a challenge, I'm sure it gets very tough.
Thanks, Puneet, for having me here. It's a very interesting question you asked. What do lawyers do? The primary aim for corporate lawyers is to provide support for growth to their clients, who are the corporates and the banks and the multilaterals in the country, right? So we have to grow and keep pace with times. Now, there are evolving laws, and with the evolving times, the laws have become, dependent on different avenues, which is why there has been a lot of liberalization of laws, whether it's by RBI, by SEBI, or by other regulators. So number one, we have to keep abreast with those. Number two, as you correctly pointed out, I think technology plays a huge role. And from our side, in addition to keeping abreast with the laws, we also have to keep abreast with technology to provide time-efficient solutions to clients. So I think, it's challenging and daunting task for any lawyer to keep up with both these facets, while at the same time ensuring that you deliver quality work.
Very well said. Ashish, everything is evolving every time. Everything is evolving. So are we. We are growing. Some of us are decaying, but most of us are evolving at the same time as well. How do you see the evolution of law in concomitance and in similarity to where technology is today? You order groceries online, you pay your bills online, you pay your children's fee online. There are also provisions being made by a number of startups where you can in fact avoid a trip to the lawyer or to the district court to get some paperwork done. That is something which is obviously being done to not inconvenience the common man. But you as lawyers, do you think that there is this this danger or this apprehension of not being up to date when it comes to keeping up pace with the technology as lawyers, if you get my drift?
I think we have to acknowledge that technology is going to be very, very integral. Going forward, it is going to increase. There is some recognition, but I don't think the recognition is to the extent that it has to, or it should be. And as part of being in the profession of law, and for law firms to grow, integrating technology with their work stream and with the way they function is very, very important. is very, very important. If that is not, and that is going to be part of a constant upskilling exercise. The difference between two firms is going to be the extent to which one has upskilled more than the other. At the end of the day, we must realize that a lot of the legal work has got commoditized. A client approaches us for a particular assignment. They may in parallel approach Karan's firm, they may in parallel approach my firm. One firm offers a fee of 1 lakh lower than the other. The client says, I don't know what is the extra that you are adding to be able to charge that 1 lakh, so I'll simply go to the one who's cheaper, because ultimately I know I'm going to get the same work product. And that is where upskilling, and to show that I am evolving, I am contributing, I can add more to the entire, to what your requirements are, becomes important. And if we divorce ourselves from the technological developments that are taking place and to integrate it, I think we are going to be in a problem.
Right. And Abhisar, everybody's talking about artificial intelligence these days. You know, a lot of people fear that it is going to be, you know, the end of the world as we know it right now. You know, a guy like Elon Musk, who earns his bread and butter through AI, is warning us about AI, and that's how dangerous it is supposed to be. But it also has its own uses. It has its own, facilitative, avenues that people take advantage of. Is that something which can be employed in the execution, or rather the understanding, or, the facilitation of law in any way, according to you?
Certainly. To a certain extent, we did employ AI, and I don't think most of us are even aware of it. We have search engines, and I'd point out there's a difference between automation and artificial intelligence. When you talk about AI, there's a certain level of cognitive ability which has to be incorporated into it. So I'd say that there are certain facets which we already employed. We have these search engines for legal proceedings, what we call them, judgments. So we have something called a Boolean search there. Boolean search says that you enter a word, they'd look up the synonyms for that word and present some kind of result to you. So that's something that is already crept into law. But what I'd say is that for it to reach a stage that it might just start doing our work or replace us, as people keep raising these issues, I think that's really not possible with the kind of technology we have at the moment and the way the legal industry works at the moment. Because at the end of the day, the output of an AI is going to be as efficient as the input. So for that, the input needs to be really, really uniform. And I'm also a lawyer. I'm just talking from a legal perspective as I see it. But it is going to be just as efficient as you input it. So we do not have judgments which come in a format. We do not have, client requirements which come in a format. And we as a legal industry, we are the oldest surviving profession, or one of it, is because we have somewhere been customizing to the requirements of the industry. So I think for AI to reach that stage, as I see it from a purely legal background, legal education, I think that's just far away.
You want to add something to that?
Yeah, I just add a bit to that. Vineet, I think disruption is the norm. And the only thing that is happening these days is that disruption is faster because technology is faster now. But it's not that disruption was not there earlier. We used to have books. We didn't have search engines at one point in time. When search engines came, people thought there would be redundancy of certain people. But those people retool themselves. And today, I think AI is going to play a great support role for all lawyers to be able to become more efficient. Whether it is doing diligences, whether it is creative AI on documentation, whether it is AI for automation of records and finding appropriate places. So I think it is AI is going to play a very crucial role in the next decade or so. And from our perspective, I think every law student and every lawyer needs to understand how they can work with this AI, retool themselves, make themselves more efficient using this to provide, good services for the activities that they conduct.
What do you think the future is going to hold for, large firms, including humongous, huge law firms? Do you think that is something which is going to eventually become obsolete, and you will have this trimmed version of law firms, which are basically, very razor sharp, working to, facilitate their clients through artificial intelligence, and have very less number of people. All the paperwork is going to disappear. I'm sure as lawyers you have to deal with a lot of paperwork. All of that is going to disappear, and that is the future, that perhaps is going to have a very lean and a mean and to the point law practice across the world.
Yeah, so they say necessity is the mother of invention, and I think...
Is it necessary? I mean, you've just been doing fine so far, right?
I think COVID taught us one very important...
Maybe people can get, bail on just an app in the future tomorrow, just apply for bail on an app. Do you think that's a possibility? Never say never.
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to work that way. As I said...
Instead of you've got mail, you've got bail is the answer that you receive on that. On a lighter note, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so, I think, as I said, AI is going to play a crucial role, but you also must understand we are currently close to $3.7 trillion economy with the target of hitting 10 trillion in the early 2030s. The volume of legal work required just for that growth is going to be massive. Club AI into it, club new technology into it, and club new laws into it. I don't think big law firms are going anywhere.
That's a good justification, yeah.
What we have to ensure is that there is efficiency across practice areas in a law firm, because when a client comes, he wants a one-stop solution instead of going helter-skelter, to multiple places. So I don't think size is an issue, whether it's a small firm or a big firm. As long as you can provide an all-round solution to the client, I think that's the end game. And if you can achieve that in a smaller scale with AI, great. But as I said, the size of growth that this country is looking at, you will need big law firms to continue to provide that service.
Ashish, in which direction do you think, the environment and the ecosystem which, our legal system exists and persists in today should grow? Should it grow towards making, the legal system more feasible and easy and convenient for the common man? Or do you think it should be a growth which is facilitative to both, the server and the served?
Your question is in the context of the legal system generally, as against firms. Well, I think...
just to give you an example, just to make a point, you have all these apps that are coming up which, try and make your legal hassles a less worrisome and a less tedious. So obviously there is growth in that direction towards making the life of people who use law or want to use law easy. But it's one-sided, I feel, right now. Do you think it should be a double-sided growth?
Well, you see, the issue with law is that there is a lot of subjectivity involved. There is a lot of emotion involved in the entire system. And when you have subjectivity and emotion, you can't have it replaced by very objective apps or extending the conversation to technology and AI in general. So, partly addressing the earlier questions, I think what we are talking about is certainly more of this happening to make life simpler, to make, for dispensation of justice in the sense at the lower level, smoother and easier to access. For example, I believe Amazon has a dispute resolution mechanism where it adopts, uses AI, basically between vendors and customers. If there is some dispute which is there, you feed in your details, and that AI system automatically passes a judgment. I mean, if you have a 10,000, 20,000 rupee dispute, you have those kind of things getting settled very easily at that level. It's kind of, I mean, I would call it technological lok adalat in that sense, you know. But when it comes to matters which are involving higher stakes, the example of bail that you gave, the reason why I said what I did, again, because there is a lot of emotion involved in those exercises. As we know AI today, and yes, it is certainly developing and evolving very fast, but until that emotion element doesn't get tapped in, it will do all that is objective for you.
So what becomes of the technicalities if it's all emotion?
Sorry?
What becomes of the technicalities if it's all emotion, according to you?
Technicality is only one aspect of it. Because otherwise, if you have in the same set of facts and the same position, you would have courts passing the same judgments all the time. But that doesn't happen. Because there are various nuances to each element, to each case, there is some difference that will come in. And that is what needs to be catered to independently for that particular case. And that is why I feel that yes, all these things will come, they will keep evolving, and yes, it will become easier at the lower level to kind of smoothen out things. But it's going to take a while for it to reach a level to deal with major cases or transactions.
Vinita, I'll give you an
Okay, well, we've also run out of time. Yeah, make your point and then I'll ask you the question.
I just said I'll give you an instance of what Ashish is saying. Imagine if there is a situation, there is a app where we feed all the information, all the laws, etc., and it comes up with a result and says 50% chance of success if you go to court. Now, whether that chance should be taken or not, somebody would have to rely, on a lawyer to say that yes, you can take that chance, and I'm going to study their industry. I'm going to study what is their position, what is their, let's say, economical position. What are they trying to achieve by getting this judgment? Is it going to impact them in a longer run or not? So all those decisions would still have to be taken by some human.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But just for the sake of argument, there are applications already,
right,
which diagnose diseases for you,
right,
and there's minimalistic intervention from doctors at times.
Right.
That too is based on technicalities and not too much emotion. The emotion will come in, when there's subjectivity involved on behalf of that particular doctor. Well, it's an argument which can go both ways.
Right.
But we've run out of time. Abhisar, the last question I want to ask you is that how do you see this marriage of technology, AI, and law shaping up in the next 10 years? Karan made a very valid point that 10 trillion economy by the next few years. So obviously the concept and the scope and the largesse of law firms is only going to in fact grow.
I see it as a very fruitful marriage, if you ask me, because at this point of time we are using it, we are relying on it to get forth in our business, to further the kind of work we do. We're getting more efficient with it. We're searching for things faster. We have virtual courts. We at several places at one time. We can do more cases, more judgments. We have more presence for the client. Also, our profession is very dependent at this point of time in understanding the industry of our client. So, AI just helps us with that. All the technology, we're using it to understand, what is your industry, what are your needs, what are your requirements, and customize the legal advice that we're giving. So I think it's just working wonderfully for us. But yes, there is a challenge of constant adaptation. And the legal hierarchy as we used to see it in law firms, that is going to change. We have all these experts at management levels who are not lawyers, but we need them, and they're very, very important at this point of time. So I think at this point of time, it's all, it looks like a happy marriage.
What I feel? I feel that, law, medicine, and to a large extent, psychiatry can never be outsourced to artificial intelligence. It will always require a lawyer's touch, if we can call it that. And thank you for being here, Karan, Ashish, and Abhisar. Great speaking with you, and of course the audience illuminated after hearing your thoughts on this. Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.